Hello, I'm Hannah, and this is Hannah's Books. Today I want to do the book reviewer tag, created by Gemma at the channel Read a Book Gem. She made this tag partly as a way of doing something special to prepare for her upcoming first-year anniversary here on BookTube. If you haven't discovered her channel yet, I definitely recommend it. I'll leave a link in the description box below. She talks about a wide range of books, from literary fiction and classics, from historical fiction to some fascinating nonfiction choices. Since I'm celebrating my own first-year anniversary this week, Gemma's tag seems like a perfect one to choose at this particular moment. The prompts for this tag are broken up into a few sections. The first group is about making our own reviews. Question 1. Where do you post your book reviews outside of BookTube? Well, I often don't post anywhere else, honestly. I do have a Goodreads account, and I think I'm going to be committing to be more active there, doing a little catch-up, just listing what I read this year, and then perhaps actually writing up and posting reviews there starting maybe in January. So, at least in the future, I'm hoping to use Goodreads to review all the books I read that are not brand new. I don't read a lot of new releases, but recently I've had the great pleasure to publish a few reviews of books published in 2020 for the wonderful online journal Open Letters Review, edited by BookTube's own Steve Donoghue, as well as a few other folks. I highly recommend the experience of writing reviews for a formal journal like this. If you're interested, contact Steve, and he'll chat with you about the process. I'll leave a link to his channel below, where he provides his email address at the bottom of all his current videos. Putting reviews out on BookTube, or I suspect Goodreads or Amazon or whatever, feels like being an active participant in a very large conversation about books, something really wonderful. Writing a formal book review is a bit more daunting, partly because I know it might reach many more people, and that people might take it not just as my personal thoughts on a book, but as some vaguely expert opinion. It's quite a rush. Give it a try. The second prompt. What is your star rating system? I don't really have one. If I've gotten a book through NetGalley, or in those few cases where I've submitted something to Goodreads, I have to admit that I am faking it when I hand out stars. I don't know if I would ever give a 1 star. If I dislike a book enough to give it 1 star, I don't think I would finish reading it, or even really get started reading it beyond just the first couple of chapters. I can't imagine wasting more time putting together a review. If I were a professional reviewer, getting paid for my work, or if I could read enough to really get a feel for everything published in a year, as Steve does, for example, I know I'd have to do that. As it is, I don't. And I don't think I even engage with many books that I would give a 2-star rating to. I've listened to audiobooks with my family on a long drive, which I didn't hate, but really didn't think much of, and I think I would give 2 stars to a few of them. On the other hand, I am far less able to think critically about a book I listen to rather than read in print. By think critically here, I mean be thoughtfully analytical about, not criticize. And I don't really want to put a negative review out there with the intention of shaping other people's choices if I haven't been pretty careful in my own thinking about a book. Here on BookTube, I can put my reading in a more personal context, and it doesn't feel as unreasonable or unfair. Question 3. Convince me to read a favorite book of yours in no more than 5 words. In honor of ShakeTube, I'll try to describe my favorite play. Tragedy, bear, comedy, resurrection, reconciliation. That would be Shakespeare's The Winter's Tale. Or how about Plain Woman Lives Her Truth for Jane Eyre? I don't know, this is very hard for me. I am not a concise person. Question 4. Which book was the hardest to review and why? I think the question here is seeking out a discussion of a specific book, but I'm actually going to give a much broader answer. Fiction. That must sound absolutely crazy. I certainly feel comfortable talking about novels I read here on BookTube. But when writing a review, I feel like I need to say something of value that includes an evaluation. Often when I talk about novels here on BookTube, I talk about how they work, about symbolism or structure or whatever. I'm not necessarily talking about why a book is a good book. And isn't that really what a review of a novel should be on Amazon or whatever? I have a pretty good fix on why nonfiction books are strong books or are not strong books. And I feel very comfortable giving evaluative reviews of that kind of book. I know that's mostly because of my academic background and former career, where I learned to write book reviews of academic nonfiction works and had to do it enough that it started to feel fairly natural. For reasons I'll go into at some other point, I also feel relatively comfortable evaluating contemporary poetry. With contemporary novels, though, I often have a gut feeling, but can't quite articulate why other people should believe my gut feeling. The fact that I can't even quite explain why I feel this discomfort reviewing fiction, well, that might let you know how lost I feel. I think I might try writing a formal review of a novel soon, something I have never done before. We'll see how it goes. The fifth question. Are there any books you won't review or give a star rating to out of principle? There are definitely times when I feel that a subject is so important to write about, but a book might not be all that strong, that I would not want to give a star rating to. Talking about the book in a full review or in a personal, chatty way would put the review in a bigger context that would feel more comfortable to me, I think. Giving it a low star rating just wouldn't convey what I wanted to say, nor would giving a higher rating to it than it deserved as a piece of writing, no matter how important its existence in the general literary dialogue might be. A so-so book that nevertheless breaks open an important topic can lead to better books in the future. I wouldn't want to automatically discourage readers and future writers, perhaps, from engaging with that kind of book. All right, the next section of prompts for this tag is about reading other people's reviews. The first prompt in this section is a book you really want to read that has terrible reviews. Do you still read it? Yes, if I really want to read a book for some reason, I will read it regardless of reviews. But if I'm just intrigued with a book, not yet at the point of really wanting to read it, but still learning about it, a series of bad reviews by readers I trust can mean I never put the book on my TBR at all. I'm sure that means I might miss a few books I might enjoy. But given how many books there are out there that I have not yet read, I definitely rely on other people's opinions to help me set my priorities. Next, where do you view book reviews outside of BookTube, and what is your preferred format? When I'm thinking about backlist books, I often read my friends' reviews on Goodreads, and I fairly frequently read a few of the top-rated reviews of particular books as well. When I'm considering whether or not to read new books, I really love to look at formal reviews in newspapers and literary supplements and journals by reviewers I trust. I also really love to read reviews of books I have no intention of reading myself, if the reviews and discussions are interesting enough. Essays published in the London Review of Books and the New York Review of Books definitely fall in that category quite often. Prompt number 8. At what point do you view reviews of a book you're reading? Before, during, or after? And do you seek out reviews similar to your own or opposing? It all depends, I think. Often I read reviews after I read a book. And in general, I like to see the general lay of the land if I'm looking through Goodreads or something. If a book has an average star rating of 3 stars, is it because everyone agreed it was middling? Or did half the people love it and the other half hate it? If I felt very conflicted about a book, I might be especially interested in seeing the breadth of response. If I loved a book and see that there are a lot of people who didn't love it, and I don't immediately see why my response might differ so much, then yes, I'm sure I would be especially interested in reading some of the opposing reviews. Okay, the final section of this tag deals with those times when our own evaluations of books might differ greatly from how other people respond. The questions are paired. Discuss a book with a low rating on Goodreads that you loved, and a book with a high rating that you hated. As I said earlier, my use of Goodreads is pretty darn spotty, and I'm afraid I don't have an easy way to find the answer to these questions. Sort of similar questions seem to be a fairly regular discussion here, and I know I would love to find out my tastes differ on particular books. Yet another reason to start keeping better records. Perhaps I'll revisit this tag next year and answer these two questions more specifically. And finally, the last thing to do is tag people. First, I'll tag Steve Donoghue, who I mentioned at the beginning of this video, BookTube's own professional reviewer extraordinaire. I'm sure your take on these questions will be quite different from many of ours, and it will be a fascinating window into your world, Steve. Next, I want to tag two women who make extremely thoughtful videos on their channels and often add many volumes to my own TBR. Jen at Remembered Reads and Sonya at An Enthusiastic Reader. If you happen not to follow them yet, but you watch my videos, I suspect you will fall in love with their calm and insightful styles of discussing books. Lastly, I'll tag the two women who are leading this month's reading of Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, Dani at Spenelli Books and Christy at Dostoevsky in Space. Both women have channels a bit younger than mine, and both are total naturals on screen, smart and bubbly and real. Check them out. And if you still have space on your TBR, join them for their reading of Crime and Punishment. Thanks, Gemma, for putting together this great tag. Congratulations on your upcoming BookTube birthday. And thanks to all of you for joining me here on Hannah's Books. See you soon.